literally, it's up to these guys. I mean, we've relied on them for so long, and we're still relying on them, and it sucks, but that's the reality of the situation.
I mean, it tells you the magnitude of this game, that the fact that we're talking about players and coaches' career at stake here.
I mean, it is plain and simple. I don't like if what's easier to talk about, a failure or a success. To be honest, it's a failure because that's
a lot more
that's
fun.
Where you see,
I love
that's
it.
where you see all these hot takes now, like on Undisputed and First Take. You see all these hot takes. It's always fun to criticize. So I mean, Bruce Arena, if he fails to qualify for the World Cup, I'll take back that stopgap thing because that's embarrassing. For a nation of United States' magnitude to not qualify for the World Cup would set the soccer. I'll put this on the record.
Yep.
Will set the soccer league, nation, everything back by at least 4 or 5 years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
more. I would say more. I'd say until the 2026 World Cup.
No, you're 100% right, Armand. The thing is, that is my worry. And you and I, we both support the U.S. Okay, we both want them to get to the World Cup. It's a lot fun. It's a lot more fun from the show's perspective if they don't qualify because we have content we could talk about this endlessly.
But I hate it as an American.
As an American sports fan, you don't want this. It would be I saw an article saying why the U.S. should fail to qualify for the World Cup. Like they should. This would be good for soccer. And that is the most moronic thing I've seen in the last several months. And yes, that includes Donald Trump's tweets. Okay? The USA, as Armand said, if they don't qualify for this World Cup, it will set us back a generation.
It will kill soccer in the United States. Do you know how most people get into soccer?
It's the World Cup.
Through World Cup and through FIFA video games.
Yeah,
That's
no,
how they
I
get
agree.
Into soccer.
I agree. And think about this. 2014. I remember that World Cup as it was yesterday. I went to the pub and I was packed in there like cattle. We were packed in there. The national anthem comes on. We are singing it to the top of our lungs. I loved every moment. Dempsey scores, was it 34, 36 seconds into the game against Ghana. Then you had, was it John Brooks at the end?
Brooks.
With the head,
Yeah, Brooks the goal.
with the header. Like, it was absolutely insane of a game. And then I went back to the pub against Portugal. But let me tell you, that was the first moment where I said, wow, like as a nation here, standing next, there are, to my right, it doesn't matter what you look like, who you support in the election. We were all there for one reason. It was to support, the boys, the Yanks.
It's what unifies. It's what unifies people, and people get unified through the national team. It's a matter of national pride. That's why people love watching it. You try to go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Just walk in there without during World Cup. I promise you won't find a seat. It's packed. So it's packed because all national team people want to go there.
And
it's insane. And to think if the United States misses, that soccer will be the same. That nothing like it's good.
Nothing
it's going to kill the
changes?
popularity of the sport.
Well, Armand, yeah. And to go even further, the odd thing is this national team, especially next year in Russia, has the ability to pull the nation together for a month that could impact society a lot more than we've seen in ever. The NFL is splitting. The NBA, the NHL, all these leagues. Yeah, that's cool and all, but it's not unifying people left and right. It's city-specific. It's league-specific. The Olympics, again, that is individualistic. The Winter Olympics are coming up here. Do you think people are going to really care all that much? No, it's like, yeah, go USA, but the USA is going to pull in 100 gold medals and this amount of bronze and this amount of silver. The national team is weird in the sense that it can actually pull together. And if these 11 players who start on the pitch fail against Panama, it is going to devastate the soccer culture that has slowly started to grow here in the United States.
I mean, we don't. I mean, we should move on at some point, but I just want to make another emphasis on how big of a deal this is. MLS is slowly growing. The MLS always receives a boost after the World Cup because people are hooked onto soccer after watching the World Cup.
Especially with the expansion going on.
We're seeing teams like Sacramento, Cincinnati bringing in 30,000, Nashville,
and
Detroit.
Atlanta United just broke another record, expected to have 70,400, something like that.
Yeah, Atlanta United, they're taking over the South. Soccer is taking off in the United States, and
it's finally taking off. This is
the time to capitalize, and this World Cup would be huge if the United States makes it for the popularity, because the expansion teams are going to be coming in around 2019, 2020. So that gets more people hooked and excited. That gives them more hype. It'd be awesome. Beckham United might come in at some point. We're seeing LAFC. MLS is growing. It's booming. Not going to the World Cup. Do you think people would watch soccer if they're not soccer fans already? No, they won't. They don't care.
And, it all comes down to this game against Panama. We're going to take a quick break here. On the other side, we're going to actually break down, give you some expected lineups, look at Panama, see what we can decipher, and see what Bruce Arena will do.
That was passionate, Steven, man.
Passion tells you that this national team means something to us, and it means something to what we're doing to the nation,
to everything. But we need to get to the game.
Love it.
The game.
Yes,
the game going on.
To the game. Well, let's talk about Panama for a second, because they only conceded 5 goals in the last 8 qualifiers, tied with Costa Rica for second best in the Hex, only behind Mexico. Defensively, they're strong.
And looking throughout the squad, I count, it's like 6 MLS members. Going through it, Pinedo actually was a former Galaxy until they had a contract dispute. I'm sure they'd love him right now. This team is very good still. And also Blas Perez, former FC Dallas man.
Yes.
Also played in MLS. This team is talented, man. I would not underestimate Panama. However, one of the key players, he plays on Toronto. Armando Cooper is a very good player. He's very good. And Roman Torres, I went to the Seattle locker room to interview Jordan Morris once. I turn around, I see Roman Torres, man. That guy is huge.
Oh, yeah? Well,
huge.
Speaking of Torres, Sebastian Salazar tweeted out, he was talking to Torres, and he goes, "Our mentality is to go for the win." When asked about if a tie/point versus United States is good business. So I think Panama, they're confident. They just saw Costa Rica walk into Red Bull Arena, take care of business. Why couldn't they?
Why couldn't they? And why? And as a team that's fighting for a World Cup spot, you need to go for the 3 points. So I agree with what Roman Torres says.
No, I do. And defensively, they're going to be strong. They're going to probably run a 4-5-1 that really translates into a 4-2-3-1. Ironically, kind of the same picture or what I want the U.S. to run. So maybe Bruce Arena will shift a little bit on that. And Panama they have a nice core center back. And although they're not the fastest, they're a little bit older, and they're strong in the air. They're strong defenders, but when speed kind of kills these guys in the back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the U.S. could capitalize doing that.
Absolutely. Do you want to go over what you think your roster should be compared to mine?
Yeah. Well I'm going to finish up on Panama here before we get to the US.
Yeah.
Sorry. But if you're Panama, Arman, are you really going for the 3 points? I mean, obviously, Torres is probably going to say that. Yeah, we agree with him. But really, you're in the locker room. What if you're, manager Gomez? What are you telling the boys?
I'm telling my boys, if we keep it at 0-0 or we're up 1-0, we're doing our jobs right. That's our goal. That's our priority. Our goal is to not allow the United States to obtain momentum throughout that first half, and slowly, if you go into the halftime talk and you're 0-0, if you're Panama, you're really happy. Yes, you're starting to sweat a little bit.
No, you're sweating bullets at that moment.
At the 60th minute mark, I think that's when you switch it and you start going defensive, because that's, I think, the point where the U.S. will start to panic if it's 0-0 and start trying to press. You sink in on, you maybe sacrifice one of your attacking mids and start going defensive, playing long ball counter, and you gun for that shutout and you gun for that first goal, because that first goal will kill the United States if it's allowed.
See, it's simple. If you're Panama, you survive the first 20 minutes. You don't let the U.S. Score. You survive that first opening 20 minutes. It's hostile. Watch the stadium start to deflate. Watch the U.S. start to get a little bit nervous, as you said, sweat. Watch them sweat. And if you're Panama, you will only grow in confidence. Do what you need to do. You sit back, enjoy the game, and just do your job. Don't overthink it. Play the game. If the U.S. allows you to have the ball and you're allowed to go attack, right? This Panama squad should not be afraid of the U.S. There's nothing to be feared, So the mentality is just to go in there and play a solid game, because I think the squad, MLS heavy, and think about this: these players that do play in MLS, for example, Cooper, he plays with Michael Bradley, he plays with Josie Altidore, so he knows what they're thinking, he knows what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So it's like the squad is on par with the U.S., right?
Yeah.
If you want to break it down per person, the Panaman squad isn't that much behind the U.S. Take a couple of players from the U.S., maybe a Christian Pulisic, maybe a Kellyn Acosta, who knows if he goes over to Europe and what he develops, but they're about the same. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Go play the game. I hope it's an exciting game. Now let's talk about the U.S., because their lineup the last two games against Honduras and Costa Rica was a talking point within the media on the show.
Disaster, you mean?
Yeah, well, against Costa Rica, it was Howard, Willafanya, Cameron, Ream, Zusi, Pulisic, Nagbe, Bradley, Johnson, who's not on the squad, Wood, and out the door. Pulisic was on the wing, got hammered. It was just not good for him. And then in Honduras, it was Guzan, Zusi, Gonzalez, Beasley, the guy that's been around for a century, Acosta, Bradley, Pulisic, Dempsey, Nagbe, and Morris. So what is Bruce Arena thinking here?
Bruce Arena needs to be thinking win, win, and win. And where has the best results for this team have come when what player is positioned in what position? Can you tell me?
I'm assuming it's the number 10, playing the number 10 role.
Absolutely. Pulisic on the wing isolates himself, gives him less space to run. I want him to have that freedom to roam that middle of the park. If I am Bruce Arena, if I was in Bruce Arena's shoes, we wouldn't be this far back. But I mean, I don't want him on the wing. I want him in the middle. And look, I don't care if he plays in the wing for Dortmund. It works for Dortmund. It doesn't work for United.
Dortmund also has players in the middle that are better than the U.S.
Exactly.
It's a complicated system, and I think it's a little bit more complicated because you're missing a center back that is vital. John Brooks, obviously he's injured, not there, right? So how is the U.S. going to capitalize on that? And then you have Panama, who's already coming with a back four and then two stoppers. Ironically, it's the exact same system I want the U.S. to run, because I think they would play better that way, because Michael Bradley is not creative. He manages the game well, but when he's isolated, I think he